Have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to reconcile with somebody and were curious how it would turn out? Stay tuned for a reading that can help. Hi everybody, I'm Sue Ellen Clayton. Welcome to my channel where we're learning how to read tarot one card at a time. In today's reading, we'll be using a 5-card spread to look at the outcome of a family reconciliation. I will be using the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot, and there is a link below. This question was posted anonymously online, and here's what it said. Quote, I am estranged from a close relative. Will there be a reconciliation? Unquote. They didn't give any other information. However, my gut feeling was that the relative was a birth mother and the querent was the daughter she put up for adoption. I don't have any proof of that from the cards, and I tried to look at the reading more generally, but I'll warn you that this idea kept coming up. The querent also didn't mention using a spread. However, I will be using a 5-card bridge between us spread to look at the relationship and try to figure out if a reconciliation is possible. For simplicity's sake, I will assume that both people are women and will refer to them as the querent and the relative. The querent pulled 5 cards. Card number 1 looked at the querent's current emotional state and perspective. She drew the Ace of Wands. Card number 2 looked at the relative's current emotional state and perspective. The querent drew Strength. Card number 3 looks at what needs to be addressed to bridge the gap. The querent drew the Hermit. Card number 4 looks at what obstacles and challenges might hinder the reconciliation. The querent drew the 5 of Swords. Card number 5 looks at the overall possibility of reconciliation and the potential for a reunion. The querent drew the Devil. First of all, this was a yes-no question about whether there would be a reconciliation. It's very easy to answer a yes-no question in tarot. You count the upright cards, which represent yes, and the reversed cards, which represent no. It can get a bit more complicated if the reversed card is more positive than the upright card. And that's the case in this reading with the 5 of Swords and the Devil. In the upright position, the 5 of Swords is about conflict and defeat. In the reverse position, the 5 of Swords signifies resolution, compromise, and accountability. So I'm changing this to a no vote. With the Devil, the upright card is about temptation, addiction, and feeling trapped. The reverse Devil is about breaking free from things that are holding you back. So I'm changing the Devil card to mean no. If you count now, we have 3 yeses and 2 nos, so a reconciliation will take place. Let's take advantage of the reading and see how the reconciliation will actually go, and give some advice to the querent. We'll begin by looking at the first impressions. The first card I'm drawn to is the Devil in the outcome position. The Devil is about obsessions and unhealthy attachments. I feel like the querent has some kind of unhealthy attachment to the relative that means that reconciling is not a good idea. We have 3 major arcana cards, and the progression is interesting. If you look at the sky, we move from seeing sunshine and strength to darkness in the Hermit to pure black in the Devil. I feel like the idea of the reconciliation progresses from optimistic to terrible. Apparently, I'm not willing to let the idea of the birth mother go yet because this reading reminds me of a close friend's experience. She was adopted as an infant, and in her 50s, she connected with her birth mother. She was beyond excited. Things started out rosy, but that didn't last. In the end, it was a horrible situation, and they no longer have any kind of relationship. Something that does indicate a new beginning is the Ace of Wands. Aces are about new beginnings and fresh starts. However, when we look at the Devil in the outcome position, I don't think that this fresh start ends well. There are mountains, which represent obstacles, in the distance of the 1st, 2nd, and 4th cards. This tells us that the obstacles were there, but they weren't top of mind or expected. We see more mountains in that the Hermit is standing on a mountaintop. And the Devil is usually considered to be located in a cave, so we can consider that the 5th mountain in this reading. So let's say that this relationship is rocky. Let's look at each card individually. Card number 1 looked at the querent's current emotional state and perspective. She drew the Ace of Wands. As I just mentioned, the Ace of Wands is a card about new beginnings and fresh starts. We see a white hand, which represents spirit, emerging from the clouds. Spirit is giving the querent the gift of a new beginning. You can see that Spirit's thumb is in the thumbs up position, which speaks to the fact that things could potentially go well. Wands connect with the element of fire, so I think that the querent is all fired up about reconnecting with this relative. I think this new beginning has to do with previously unknown information about the relative. Perhaps it was somebody that she didn't know about, such as a sibling who was given up for adoption, or maybe it was someone they knew about and lost track of. Finding out the details of their existence definitely felt like a gift from Spirit. However, it's important to remember that aces are about things that could potentially happen. It's a long journey from the aces to the tens, and there's no guarantee of a happy finish. I have a friend who learned in her 70s that she had a half-brother she'd known nothing about, as her father had had an unknown affair. She was so fired up to meet her brother and tried many ways to communicate with him. In the end, the brother wanted nothing to do with her. So potential doesn't always translate into action. Regardless, I believe that the querent is very excited about the idea of a reunion and is ready to take the required action to make it happen. On the left side of the card, we see a castle on a mountain. Mountains represent obstacles. The castle is a home, and homes represent protection and security. The castle also represents success, as its occupants have control over a large expanse of land. We see a river at the bottom of the card that must be crossed in order to get to the castle. Water is all about emotions, so there is clearly emotional work that the querent needs to do before she reaches the protection and security of the castle. The hand with the wand in it is huge compared to the castle in the background. My feeling is that the querent is definitely fired up about the reunion, but hasn't yet realized the logistics and emotional turmoil involved in reconnecting with the relative. Card number 2 looked at the relative's current emotional state and perspective. The querent drew strength. I feel like the relative is happy with their life and, like my friend's half-brother, not looking to change up her life and reconcile. Strength is dressed in a white gown. This represents her strength and the purity of her thoughts and actions. She's made peace with her decisions in life and believes that she made them for the right reasons. She's wearing a belt and crown of red roses. These are symbols of love. This tells me that her choices, with regard to the querent, were also made with love. Far behind the relative, we see blue mountains that represent strength and fertility as well as obstacles. To me, this is further evidence that she conceived a child and had the strength to put her up for adoption. The relative is not someone who is living with regret. We can see that the woman is leaning forward and the lion is looking upward. This shows that the relative's life is balanced. She also has a great deal of inner strength. She's been able to tame the king of the jungle with a light touch on its snout. The relative is clearly somebody who is in control of herself and her environment. We'll look at how she responds to a potential reconciliation in the next card. But in this card, it's obvious she's happy with her life. Card number 3 looks at what needs to be addressed to bridge the gap. The querent drew the Hermit. The Hermit is a card about introspection. He's standing at the top of a mountain, which represents his knowledge and accomplishments. This indicates that he's at a place where he can review his life. It can also indicate that he's reached a stage of enlightenment. He's focused on soul-searching, self-awareness, spiritual guidance, and enlightenment. The Hermit tells me that the relative needs to do some serious soul-searching about what she wants. She can also benefit from seeking spiritual guidance about the situation and what to do next. The Hermit is standing on top of a snowy mountaintop. This represents a long journey to the top of the mountain. I believe it has taken the relative a long time to get to the place where she's at peace with her life choices. Now she needs to do some soul-searching about whether her reconciliation is in the best interest of the people in her life, and she realizes this reunion could be destabilizing. In the Hermit's right hand is a lantern that illuminates the path just ahead of him. He has light, but it doesn't show him the entire journey. The relative is aware that she doesn't know how things will turn out. She needs to figure out how she will cope if the fallout of the reunion doesn't go as planned. Card number 4 looks at what obstacles and challenges might hinder reconciliation. The Querent drew the 5 of Swords. This card tells me that the relative understands that there are people impacted by the reconciliation beyond herself and the Querent. We can see 2 other figures in the card who are walking away. The smallest person, in the middle, appears to be weeping. So I'm guessing that the reunion will create a lot of potential emotional turmoil for the parents, siblings, or children of the relative. The 5 of Swords asks the relative to examine her relationship with conflict and confrontation. Does she see herself as the hero in the foreground who pushed forward with the reunion, even if it means potentially defeating or humiliating other people? Or does she see herself as retreating and regretting that she gave up the opportunity to see the Querent after so many years? Something else to consider is the Querent's motivation for wanting the reunion. The 5 of Swords is a stage card. Does she just want to put on a show because reconciliation would be a good story to tell her Instagram followers? Or is she sincerely interested in getting to know the relative for the right reasons? And has the Querent actually considered that people may get hurt from this, including herself? You've made it this far in the video, and I wanted to stop and ask a favor if you're not already a subscriber, and that is to please hit the subscribe button. It's free for you, and it will also help me to grow this channel. Plus, it means that you won't miss anything. Thanks so much, and if you're already a subscriber, I truly appreciate your ongoing support. Now let's get back to the video. Card number 5 looks at the overall possibility of reconciliation and the potential for a reunion. The Querent drew the Devil. The Devil is about giving away your power to attitudes or behaviors that are destroying you. This could be lust, envy, or greed, or it might refer to temptations, obsessions, compulsions, or addictions. I'm guessing that the Querent blames the relative for some kind of addiction. Perhaps she was adopted early in life or spent time in foster care, and she developed coping mechanisms that included numbing herself with drugs and alcohol. Although the circumstances were unfortunate and her life was difficult, blaming her absent mother for her pain became a way of avoiding any personal responsibility. She may also be so focused on her problems that she hasn't considered why she was put up for adoption or ended up in foster care. This makes me believe that the Querent does not want the reconciliation for the right reasons. A reunion is something that she's obsessed about and has longed for. However, she's looking for retribution and not reconciliation. As we can see by the couple at the Devil's feet, the chains are on lightly and can be easily removed. At this point, the Querent's bondage is self-imposed, and I'm not sure that a reunion with the relative would do anything except destabilize the relative's life. The Querent has the option of removing the chains, so I think that she has other ways she can put her life together. In summary, this reading looked at whether a reconciliation would happen with the Querent's estranged relative. We looked at the upright and reversed cards, and the answer was yes. Card number 1, the Ace of Wands, looked at the Querent's current emotional state and perspective. The Querent clearly wants this. This is a new opportunity, and she's fired up and ready to make it happen. However, she hasn't yet considered the logistics and emotional turmoil involved in reconnecting with the relative. Card number 2, Strength, looked at the relative's current emotional state and perspective. I see her as someone who is very happy with her life and her choices. She is not interested in a reconciliation. Card number 3, the Hermit, looked at what needs to be addressed to bridge the gap. Since the Querent is gung-ho about a reconciliation, it's the relative that needs to come to terms with the idea. She needs to do some serious soul-searching about what she wants, including seeking spiritual guidance and coming up with a plan to move forward if things don't go well. Card number 4, the 5 of Swords, looks at what obstacles and challenges might hinder reconciliation. The relative knows that other people might get hurt by this reunion, yet she doesn't want to regret not doing it. On the other hand, the Querent might have been so focused on the attention she'd garner from a reunion that she didn't consider who might get hurt. Card number 5, the Devil, looked at the overall possibility of reconciliation and the potential for a reunion. I think that the reunion will happen because the Querent has been so focused on it to fix everything that is wrong with her life. However, I think that she's looking for retribution, not reconciliation, and the reunion does not have the effect that she hopes it will. In the end, I think that the Querent needs to take responsibility for what's going on in her life and not blame someone else, but I don't think she's figured that out yet. I hope this video will help you with your tarot readings. Please leave a comment if you'd like to share what you've learned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.